do you go through phases where you just notice you do stupid stuff, like when you do trading, it just maybe not enough research, maybe not enough time spent on the specific stock that you're looking at or whatever it may be, and you just jump in without like due diligence? Do you ever find yourself doing that?
There was a point in time where I actually was seeing a psychologist and I had this conversation with him. I was like, I keep making the same
Mhm.
mistakes over and over and over. And he's like, why? Don't you have a plan? Don't you have
Right.
everything written down?
Yes.
And it's like, once I write it down and once I follow the plan, all I have to do is follow my plan. I give this example all the time. It's like driving from Dallas to Disney World, right? You can put it in the GPS, and all you got to do is follow the GPS. But at any point in time, Ferdinand, you could take that exit. You could take the exit 42 to go down to New Orleans, or you could keep
Very
on
true.
going,
Yep.
driving the whole way, right? So we have the choice. In fact, that's one of the things in Trading in the Zone, which is one of the greatest trading psychology books of all time. He
Mhm.
says in the market, we have unlimited opportunities to make unlimited choices. And most people can't handle that unlimited
Yep.
flexibility, right? Because there's nobody sitting on your shoulder, right?
Right.
I'm not sitting on Ferdinand's shoulder saying, "Hey, don't do that, don't do
Right.
that." You don't have a
Right.
boss over the back of your neck saying, "No, what are you doing?" Right? So yeah, dude, I know where you're coming from. I know exactly what you mean. And for me, that having that plan, walking through the plan step by step by step, just really helped me so
When
much.
I have the plan, it works. It's when I jump into it and it's just like, I don't know if it's just the sense of urgency that I just wanna do some trade. I don't know, I haven't figured it out yet, but it's like, you get some extra money in, you see it sitting and you're like, "Huh, well, it's just sitting. I could maybe might as well make something with it." It's one of those moments, and then
Yeah.
then I got myself into stupid trades. I should have known better, but now I'm taking my break and I'm sitting back for a little bit and I'm just kind of chilling. Actually, it's my son's soccer tryout, so it gives me the excuse to not be involved in
Mm,
anything right now and just focus on what he's doing. So
yeah. Well,
I've
what you're describing is super common, right? I even went through that. I remember one time I went on a business trip to Arizona and I had my iPad with me, and I jumped in the back of this Uber, and I'm heading to the meeting, and I had that exact same experience. It's like I have all this cash in my account. I got nothing better to do for a couple, not maybe an hour to get there and
right,
back.
right.
Let's put on some trades, right? So I'm just wheeling and dealing. Had no plan, whatsoever. And then by the time I get back home and I'm looking at it, and I'm, everything I put on is losing because I had no
Yep,
plan at all.
yep,
And I was like,
yep.
that was really dumb. I probably should have a plan and not just like go willy nilly buying, selling, whatever. I had no plan at all, dude.
Yeah.
And a lot of people struggle with that for years and years and years. So what you're describing is not uncommon, but it is something I think people have to go through in their journey, right? They have to realize I can't just take any old trade any old time.
Oh, man. I win when I do my research. I do it's the good days, and you're like, "Oh, yeah, this the account's, like, crazy high. This is wonderful." It's the days where it's like, I don't know if I just get bored, and it's just like there's nothing else. Maybe I need to pick up a book or something. I don't know. I don't know. I
Very
don't know
true.
what it is, but I'm taking a break. That's all I know. The last 3 weeks for that exact same thing. I got this in my account. I'm gonna try this, and then everything is you just keep I'm like, "What the heck? Why why is this this was in the double digits. Why are we going
Mhm.
into singles? What's going on here?" So yeah, but it's fun money. I don't spend anything on in the market to where I can't lose. You know what I mean? I don't do that. Whatever I can lose, I put out there, and I've learned that lesson. So it's just more of I think now it's just of that specific urgency when you get bored and you just want to flip something really quick. That's where I'm at right now, and I gotta control that. So maybe I need to call your psychologist.
It helped me, I'll tell you that. It helped me a lot. But trading shouldn't be exciting. Investing in general shouldn't be exciting. It should be somewhat predictable, right? You should have an edge. You should be able to say, okay, I know my win rate's approximately this,
Yep.
my expectancy is approximately that. So if I win or if I lose, it's fine. It's all going to balance out at the end of the day. But it really shouldn't be exciting. But that leads me to something that I thought we could talk about today was risk, right? So you've been an entrepreneur for years and years, and you've done a lot of really cool things in life. And for me, I view trading as entrepreneurship. So like every
Mhm.
trade that I put on has the opportunity to go forever and ever. I don't know how much I can win, but I
Right.
know how much I can lose, right? That's the real key difference here with most people who get into the market. They're like, I mean, it's going to be Lambos or food stamps. I've heard that so many times, right? I'm either going to go to the moon or I'm going to go on the dole, right? There's nothing in between. And that's not how risk in general in trading or in life and entrepreneurship and things like that works. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think that is, first of all, I think that's hilarious. I think that's the funny saying. I mean, it kind of is true. With entrepreneurship in general, I think when you first start off, you have that Lambo goal. It doesn't work that way. It never does. I mean, maybe with some people, it's going, where's my Lambo, Chris? Which one? Got to get the Aventador. Make sure it's got the right specs. Um, yeah, there's a lot of risk with entrepreneurship, and I think that goes hand in hand with trading as well. You're taking a risk, but I think what I've learned is it comes down to how much do you trust yourself. There's so many situations that go on, but what can you do if a situation goes wrong? What can you do if you lose all your money in the market? What can you do if one of your companies goes under? Or it's starting to lose revenue, or you're starting to go net negative. Like what do you do? What can you as a person do? And I think that's where mentorship and training and all that comes into hand. But yeah, entrepreneurship isn't, it's not a, it's kind of like what you're just saying. It's not a fun road. I mean, there's great times, but it's not, I love what I do. Don't get me wrong. I love my life. It's amazing. But there's the moments where you get hit hard. I was telling you guys yesterday, you find out partners do certain things to you, and that's kind of that's difficult to deal with, and you have to learn to just kind of push it away. I think kind of almost like stocks too. You don't live and dwell on something that you made a bad trade on. You just kind of got to get over it and figure it out from the next step. So I think risk goes along with it kind of just fits our world. I mean, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're stocks, but I never thought about what you said about stocks being associated with entrepreneurism. That's interesting. I like that. That's really cool. I never even thought about that.
Dude, that's how I've always treated it, right? Like my business that I started in 2017 was trading stocks, right? So I opened, Yule Holdings LLC, and it was a holding company for trading stocks. Like that was my objective here. And so every stock purchase that I put on, I view it as if I am, ordering let's say it's retail, right? Let's say I own a retail clothing store and I ordered 1,000 red dresses. Okay. I ordered 1,000 red dresses. I bought 1,000 red dresses for Nan. The problem here is that red dresses are so out of style. Oh my gosh, the girls cannot be caught in red dresses this season, right? So now I have 998 of them. What do? I got to pass them off to somebody else. That's the funny story about that. That's called the greater fool theory, right? So
Okay.
I was the fool because I bought those 1,000 dresses from someone else. Now I need to offload my 1,000 dresses, my 998 dresses onto the next person, right? So I have to go convince somebody else, hey, you got to take this right now. It is such a screaming deal. You can make so much money on these 998 dresses, right? Granted, I didn't do that, but I'm going to tell somebody else that they're going to, right? So it's like that in stocks, right? I think today this price is a fair price, and I want to pay it because I want to own it and I want to see it go up, just like buying those 1,000 red dresses. And if it doesn't, I got to liquidate that as fast as possible.
Right.
But let's say that it does work, and then I sell out of those 1,000 red dresses. That's like your stock moving up, and you're like, "Daggum, I need to buy some more." Right? That was a great deal. So you can hold on to the trade, just like buying more, and then you can run that as far as you can. And then at some point, the market will tell you nobody wants those dresses anymore. Right? There is too
Mm,
much risk in holding these dresses because all the women who were going to buy a red dress, they've already bought them. Right? You see red dresses everywhere at this point, and you're like, probably
interesting.
should bounce. And that's a lot of trading psychology right there. Is when so many people have bought into that stock, who's left, right?
Right.
There's no more buyers left. Who's left are
Right.
the sellers. So that's when you got to liquidate quickly, right? So for me, this like they go hand in hand together to me. Like every trade is somewhat like an entrepreneurial venture.
That's so interesting. I never even looked at it from that perspective. I think when you're living the entrepreneur life, it's like because you're so deep in some of these relationships that you get into with a partnership or a company or whatever it may be that, like a lot of the times when I'm entering into something new or a new partnership, I really don't even do any trading for a while because it's more due diligence on the company. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I win when I do my research.
That's what
Yes.
you said. That's what
Yes,
you said about stock trades, and
absolutely.
that's what you're saying right now about
On your
entrepreneurship. I win when I do my
motorcycle.
research.
Yep, you are absolutely 100% right. You win when you do the research, and research isn't fun, like what you were saying, Chris. It's not fun. It's the due diligence that you have to do, whether it's stocks, whether it's a company, whether it's a girlfriend or wife. I mean, shoot, aren't you doing your due diligence before you get married, right? You're not going to just marry some crazy woman. We have this street called uh, um, Aurora. It's in Seattle. Oh my gosh, bro, when you go down this street, it's like you see everything. Like every walks of dregs of society walks down that street. So you see like the pimps, you see, the working girls, it'll be like the middle of winter and they're wearing like absolutely nothing but like a fur shawl or something. So I'm driving down there with my son because we love Chick-fil-A and sometimes he has tournaments over there. And we're driving down there and we're looking at everything and I'm like, you see what's going on down here, man? Like this is that craziness. Don't ever bring something like this home through the front doors because this is not so it's doing your I'm teaching do your research, bro. Like, you got to do your research on who people are. He learned this the other day with one of his friends who's kind of feral. Had him sleep over the other night and I was like, "Bro, you got to learn who your friends are. You like give them like 2 weeks and see how they react." Because he came over and spent the night, and I was like, "Yeah, you got a feral kid over there, man. Like, you got to deal with him. That's your problem. I'll be upstairs." But yeah, to do your research. It's so important. I think with everything, with everything, not just business, not trading, not girlfriends,
Yeah.
friends. It's everything. So but again, it's not gonna be the fun thing that you do, and it's like, "Oh, this is an enjoyable experience." You may find some cool things out, but it's just like, "Ah, this is a lot of work, a lot of work."
Yeah. And who you pick to spend your life with is probably the biggest, most important decision ever, right? I am blessed beyond belief, Ferdinand. I met my wife when I was 18 years old, if you can believe that.
Oh,
My
nice.
So funny story. I had a band scholarship to go play in the college band in the show band of Arkansas, Henderson State University. And they were known like for the performances. It was so fun. And so before school starts, they have band camp, right? Of
Mhm.
course, it's everybody's like, "Oh, band camp, right?" Yeah, exactly. I went to band camp the summer before I started college. And I didn't know my wife at the time, but she had been there for 3 years before me. And I'm doing my thing there and she told me that the moment she laid eyes on me, she's like, "He's the one."
Oh,
I didn't know who
wow.
she was for at
She
least 2
knew.
more months after that. I really only met her in October, but she knew I was the one the moment she laid eyes on me.
How? Did you
I
ever
don't
ask her?
it was the biceps. She was like, "I gotta have that dude. I
Bro.
gotta have that dude." But, like, she has been with me, for more than half of my life at this point, and it's so weird to think about how, we've had so much life that's changed, right? We've moved a couple times, we've bought a couple houses, we've experienced, deaths in the family, had a couple kids and a couple miscarriages, right? A lot of stuff
Mhm.
has happened. We've lived a lot of life between those few years. And through every bit of it, like she was there for me following this passion, this dream, right? She saw how I would get up at 3 in the morning to do everything I needed to do before going off to my corporate job every day. And she never once questioned me. And you've got to have somebody who will hold your hand, hold your hair while you're throwing up in the toilet kind of
Yeah,
situation, right? Who will be there for you for every day for the rest of your life. And that is the biggest risk you take is because you really don't know if that person will be there to support these decisions. Because at any one point in time, she could have said, "You've got to stop, right?
right.
You've got to stop doing this.
Right.
This is such a bad idea." But never. What about you? How about
Yeah,
how about your wife?
I'm very oops, just knocked over my Bitcoin, um, wallet.
Just dropping bitcoins everywhere?
Yeah, well, I have, like, my my private wallets that I keep, like, I have a few of them that I keep everywhere. Just, like, I have these crazy things of, like, okay, in an emergency, if we gotta pick up and we don't have access to the bank account, we've got, all our crypto here. Just stupid stuff I always think about. Being a nerd, man, I just you think about everything. Yeah, my wife, I'm really lucky, dude. I'm truly blessed in that regard. My wife, kind of like yours, I met her when I was 17 or I was 15. wait, maybe I was 15 and she was 7. No, I was 17, she was 19. Um, we didn't, we were like best friends then. I was dating one of her friends, so she wouldn't, we had a rule like in our friendship group, like you don't date other, like if I dated one girl, like you just don't date your friend's friend, like who they dated. So we had that rule. So it was like 13 years later that we got in touch with each other. We lost touch for like 13 years. And then we got back to in touch with each other through another friend. And then when we saw each other again, it was like, I think it's kind of like that moment that your wife knew. I was like, I looked at her and I was like, she's become, she's not the girl anymore that I knew. She's now this woman. And I want to merge my life with her life because I think that we'd make a good team. And that night we stayed up all night talking. And I think from that night on, it's been 20 something years, 20 something years, some years that we've been together. But she's same thing. We've had incredible losses where, I mean, she had every right to walk away, every right to walk away. But she didn't. I remember one time she looked at me because I was on the floor and on my knees. I was crying because we had lost, pretty much everything. It was a seven-figure loss, and I lost everything. I had to ask my parents for help. It was one of those moments. So I'm on the ground feeling sorry for myself. I'm crying, and she said to me, and she was like, "It's my turn now." And she's like, "I'll pick up the pieces." And she went to work, and granted, she wasn't making like the amount we had to, we had to downsize everything, but she helped keep everything together, keep my son together, keep him going to school, keep all the shopping, all that stuff that we don't think about as a man. She kept all that together, and you don't find that often. So the gamble with me at that point was, I remember when I was looking at her and thinking like she'd become a woman, is like, do I take a step towards this? Is she even going to accept me? Like, am I even qualified to be, within her realm and, and connecting these energies? So it's a risk that you take, I think, individually, and it's a risk that you take with your own personal life of where you're going to go. But it's a very important one. I think one of those decisions with your wife, your partner, that's your husband. That's one of the most important risk taking decisions you have to make. And it's just the due diligence, figure out. I knew what I wanted at that time. I had a list. I had written
Mm.
down everything that I wanted because I'd made mistakes, and she had filled everything. So, yeah, I think we're lucky, man. And if there's anybody in the comments that has the same thing, be very thankful for what you have, because there are some things going on right now in life where, we got to be very thankful for who we have at home and what's going on. So,
Yeah,
strong
for sure.
relationship. Hey, look at random guy. I love that.
Yeah, random guy, exactly. Only strong relationships pay. And you've got to have that, right? I remember there was a couple times in my life where I went through a losing streak in the market, and I felt like I was the loser. It
Mm,
wasn't that my trades
yeah,
were going down. It wasn't that I had less money in my bank account. It was that I was the
yep,
loser. And that was hard, man. That's
yeah.
such a hard, like deep, ugly hole to crawl out of.
And think
But
about people are going through that every day,
yeah,
today. I don't think that was particularly just you. That I think that psychological gremlin, takes a hold of people when you make bad decisions. And if I tell my son all the time, I'm like, there's two people on your shoulders. There's the angel and there's the devil, and you've got to learn to listen to the right person, because the wrong one's going to lead you down the wrong path. So those little gremlins, especially when you're trading, you're like, oh man, that was so stupid. Oh, how could I have done that? Why did I do that? How could You've got to stop that negative talk, that self-talk, and be like, okay, that was just a bad decision. Let's fix it and move on. But yeah, those negative gremlins, man, are they can wreak havoc on people.
yeah.
I think what you were feeling, that goes on quite a bit with people.
Right. And I wanted to share this slide. So Mark Minervini is one of the greatest traders of all time and one of my personal mentors. And one of his quotes that somebody put out in this nice little graphic here says, there's no shame in losing money on a stock trade, but to hold on to a loss and let it get bigger and bigger, or even worse, to buy more, is amateurish and self-destructive. And it
Mhm.
makes me think of AMD. And
Okay.
I have heard a lot of people say that AMD is the advanced money destroyer. And for months and months and months, it's been going down and down and down. And I kept
Look
seeing
at it.
all these YouTubers talking about how it has to be the very bottom, as it was here and here and here and here and here and here,
Ah,
has to be the very bottom. It can only go up from here, and yet it continued to go down and down and down. And that's the thing in this, is that like you had the choice at any point in time to get
yep.
out. You had the choice. You had the same sell button that I have, right? All you had to do was click it. But because you were emotionally invested in this, because you weren't ready to accept that, you know what, it's okay to be wrong, but it's not okay to stay wrong, you watched your money evaporate.
Yeah.
And so the same
Timing
thing
is everything at
in
that point.
in life, right? If you're holding on to the wrong spouse, your life is going to look like this for ages and ages and ages, right? You pick the wrong girl, this is what your life is going to look like, right? And that sucks. That sucks. I mean, yeah. But
Yeah. Let me ask you this. When you look at AMD, what do you think started that whole downfall? Like in your personal opinion, what do you think caused that? That's a pretty steep, like that's drastic right there. I
oh
mean,
yeah, and I mean it even goes back a little bit further, in fact.
you see
Goes
when
back
it goes up, they had a
until
little bit of support coming in there, and then it just kept do 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 doom.
right. Yeah, March 2024 is where it peaked, and it went gangbusters at that point. In fact, how much is it down? So from the peak to today, down 56%. Ferdinand, if I lost 56% of my money, I would be so pissed. I would feel like a loser, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And then think if
And I
you have
think a
a
lot of it
family,
right now is that there
and
were a ton of people, which is why I think I caught fire on YouTube. A lot of people who have gotten really pissed at the majority of the finance YouTube space, because they would pick stocks like this that are just like screaming towards the Gulf of America, right? Just at a 45-degree angle down. And you're like, well, if he says it's a good buy, it has to be a good buy, right? And then here I'm on the other side screaming, stop! What are you
right.
doing? This is terrible. I used to say something that I can't say anymore because it's copyrighted, right? We
Oh,
got a cease and desist the other day, remember?
can you believe that? That was
Now
just
profit follows price.
right.
And if price is going down, you ain't making any money. And so I mean, for me, I am not a news guy. I really don't care, right?
Right.
I mean, and the funny thing is that like all these other YouTubers, they'll come out and be like, oh, the CEO says this, they got all these new products, everything is so great. I mean, just look at their free cash flows, and yet the price is going down and down and down. It's like, how much does that actually matter? Right?
Mhm.
Fundamentals come out once a quarter. What about the other 89 days in a quarter, Ferdinand? Right? The
Right.
other 89 days in a quarter are the ones that are going to rob you blind if you're really looking at it one day a quarter.
That is just it's so crazy that I mean, you would think that people at that first dip would have gone out, but then you see it's got 2 more bumps where it's like, "Okay, we're trying to grab a little bit of support in here." But then it's like, gosh, you jacked yourself if you stayed in. Like, that's bad. Just looking at
Yeah.
that, that reminds me of some of the things I made last month.
There you go. Yeah. Well, I say that when you're trading, the top 10% and the bottom 10% are the most expensive, because that's where people are trying to say, oh, this is the bottom or
Right.
this is the top,
Right.
right?
Yes.
But you don't have to stress on where the bottom is or where the top is. You can just let the trend go in its direction,
Well,
and you can catch that middle 80%, right?
yeah.
It's like when you go to a barbecue restaurant. Right now, I don't know if they have good barbecue up in the northwest. I know it cannot be. It is impossible for it to be as good as the barbecue in Texas. The Texas barbecue is tremendous. Joe Biden wishes that he had Texas barbecue like Chris gets to eat, right? And because of that, when I go to the barbecue, I get chopped beef. Give me all the sauce. I love the sauce. And when you go to eat it, you're not eating it for the bun, the top 10% and
Right.
the
Right.
bottom 10%. You're not eating it for the bun. You're eating it for the juicy brisket and the sauce and maybe a little pickle and onion in the middle there.
Right.
That's what you're after there. That is the same in a trend, right? Don't worry about the top 10. Don't worry about the bottom 10. Get that 80% in the middle,
Right in the middle.
and there's some juicy profits.
Yeah, the barbecue up here is, we we struggle. We we a little bit of a struggle. There's a few like, that I've like the what do you call them, those trucks that the trucks that, it's not a restaurant, but it's a truck that pulls up. When we go to like some of his events, there's some trucks that have some amazing barbecue, like amazing. But then I can't find them again. I'm like, where'd you guys go? Like, this is the like, at least if it was a brick and mortar, I could go there and grab it. But no, they struggle very, very hard out here for good barbecue. I
Do you have a
have a,
smoker at your house?
what's that?
Do you have a smoker at your house?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I'm
I'll,
learning that now. So I am, I can't say that I'm any good at it. I'm still learning the whole
I'll,
process.
I'll send you my brisket recipe. I got it from Aaron Franklin. He's very, very, very big in the barbecue world. And actually on YouTube, on the PBS YouTube channel, he has a multi-part series as how to make a brisket. And it's so good. It's so good. He's like, this is how you trim it. This is how you put the salt and pepper and brine it for 24 hours. This is literally how you set it in the grill, because you could put it fat side up, fat side down, right? Point towards the front, point towards the back. And I mean, he tells you step by step by step, kind of like I do with trading. And so I just took that and I copied his recipe, and I call it my revenge brisket. And man, it's so good. And the reason I call it revenge brisket is because last Easter 24, I ruined the brisket. Oh my gosh, did I ruin the brisket? It was so bad. It was basically like an inch of cardboard, followed by a half an inch of beef jerky, followed by a quarter inch of edible meat. And oh man, I was like, what? How did I do this so bad? And so I went down the rabbit hole, because that's what I do. I don't want to like dip my toe into stuff. I jump in with both feet. And I spent hours and hours and hours learning, trying, testing, right? Taking those risks, right?
Yes,
It
right.
might cost me $50 for a brisket, but by the end of it, I'm going to make sure that I do everything I can, right? And then we get to this year, and this is my revenge on myself last year for having made such a poor brisket. That's why I call it the revenge brisket. But my wife, I kid you not, this is so funny. That night, she rolled over this Easter night, and she's like, "That brisket you made was so good." I'm like,
You got it.
there
When
we go. That's a win right there.
yeah, I'm still learning on mine. I'm still I got a Kamado Joe, so it's a big one, and I love it. It's great, but I gotta really learn. It's all about the temperature control with the smoking, and the airflow that comes in. So I have to get that part down. I've got it down for like the grilling. Got that down like to a T. When I'm doing certain things for my tri-tips and everything. But my brisket, if I'm gonna smoke it, I need to waste a little bit of, go to get like a cheap one, because I get all my meat normally from Snake River Farms. I don't know if you've ordered from there before.
I've heard of them. No, I
Yeah,
just got HEB.
okay, yeah, I get so I've been buying everything from Snake River Farms for like the last year or two. And they just have the best wagyu. I mean, just absolutely amazing, amazing steaks. Like so good. So yeah, I love Snake River. Hopefully we won't get a cease and desist for that. Right? Good God.
Okay, that was
That
good, that
was
was good.
stupid. I could not believe that when I saw that yesterday. Was that yesterday?
I don't know. So for those who don't know, we got an email, and I was like, I need to get hold of Ferdinand and Chris right away. You guys can't be using this anymore. And I was like, what? Only price pays? Ferdinand, I kid you not. Steve Burns, one of my mentors, wrote in this book in 2017 the phrase "only price pays."
It doesn't.
So, like, how can you? And like that's just one of our sayings. That's like saying bull market or bear market, right?
I know, dude.
How can you go around copywriting a phrase that people just say? So I was really pissed about that.
Yeah, I
But
was not
profits
too
follow
happy.
price. I like that.
There we go. Yeah. And I mean, I guess when you flip it, I always tell my son, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So let's like flip it. And so I guess the guy's pretty smart for trademarking it.
We need a trademark monkey hammer and monkey donkey and
We
anything
have to.
monkey related. That way I can just say whatever words I want after the word monkey.
I 100% go ahead and get that thing trademarked, because my buddy actually trademarked "Who's Your Daddy."
Really?
And yeah, back in 1999 or something like that. Dan Flashman. And yeah, he trademarked it. He made like 19 million off of it. He's doing so well. He does so well. He's kind of in the world now though, where it's like he's got so much money, he just does whatever he wants. It's like, it's more than the FU money. He's got way too much. Like he was the one that did the whole zoo in Temecula. Like, just open up a zoo like, for the hell of it. Like who does that? Like I don't know. He has so much, and I think it. Granted, he gives a lot back, and he helps a lot of people, and he has a lot of organizations that give back and try to go in there and try to help different ventures and businesses and communities. Um, but there's so many problems I think that we have in the world that we have to really focus on if we're in the top percent that we can help other people out. Um, I saw someone mention about the Kamado Joe. That was a good choice. Oh,
Oh yeah,
Kamado.
where did that go?
It's like,
Kamado
yes,
Joe for the win.
somebody has a Kamado Joe. Because that
All right,
was
so
I was taking a risk too buying that thing because there's the green egg, there's all
yeah,
these different smokers that you can get. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take a risk with this thing and see what it was. And I love it. It's been
is it
great.
one where is it pellet fed? Because I have a Green Mountain grill, and it's basically an oven. You say I want it at 350, it goes to 350, and it uses pellets as the fuel source.
Oh, see, that's nice. No,
Yeah,
this is not. This is where I get like this specific wood, charcoal that you go and you burn it in, and it's ceramic, and you can control it with the airflow, and it's got 3 different levels that you can cook in it, and it's absolutely amazing. But I'm so new to it and getting used to it. It's gonna take me a couple of years to figure it all out and get it all down because I'm in the PNW, dude. So it's like during the winter time, you don't can't really do anything.
yeah,
Summertime everything comes out, but and with spring everything comes out. But in the wintertime we shut everything up, and there's you don't really doing anything. Um,
right.
yeah, and people want your recipe in the Discord group.
Yeah, I will definitely do that. I'll definitely
Yeah.
do that. Okay, so let's take a few minutes to do some Q&A from the chat. I don't want to leave anybody out, especially on a day like today where the market's really cooperating, and that's what we want to see. So MT, we talked about the market limit orders already. Danny, good morning, guys. Can you walk through the math on position sizing, possibly with
Ooh.
an example? I got you. I got you. So this is my position sizing formula. So I go back to that slide. And I got this from a collection of different people. But if to size for volatility is the most important thing, Ferdinand. So you can trade Coke and you can trade Tesla with the same amount of risk. And I always like to use those two as example because Coke is something that's super boring that Warren Buffett invests in. Tesla is the opposite. Tesla is exciting and people want to be in it all the time, or they want to be out of it all the time, right? And it's one of those exciting stocks. So take a boring stock and a exciting stock and have the same amount of risk. That seems almost impossible. Well, this formula will get you there. So you take your account balance, multiply the amount of risk you're willing to take. So this is not your portfolio. This is not saying I want to put 5% of my portfolio into this. It's saying I want to risk 5%. Meaning if I lose, I'm going to lose 5 grand. Okay. Not I'm going to take 5 grand and put it in, and I might take some out later.
Right.
And then you divide that by 2 times the ATR. So ATR is the volatility calculation. So let me show you what that looks like. So down here shows you the ATR. So the ATR is the average true range. So basically over the last 14 candles, which is the default, what is the average range? So here on AMD, the average range over the last 14 candles was $7. But before that, it was down at $4. So there was nearly a 70%
Mm.
increase in volatility. And when volatility spikes like this, which you can measure, that's when you start pulling back and start trading smaller. So if we look at Tesla, volatility of Tesla shows right now ATR around $20. For a few months ago, it was around $7. So volatility has tripled from June of 2024 to May of 2025. So about a year went by and volatility has tripled. If you're trading the same size, yet volatility has tripled, you're asking for trouble, right? If you had
Mm.
100 shares on when volatility was low, and you still put the 100 shares on when volatility is high, you can get in a heap and helping full of trouble by keeping it on when you really should be trading 1/3 of the size. So this is the formula that I use. Now it's decently complicated and it sucks to do all that, but in our Discord, in the VIP Investors Toolkit, I have a spreadsheet where you can literally just type in whatever stock you want. So I can type in Tesla and I can type in Coke
Put in
And I
Palantir
already
because
had
someone was
T,
talking about
AT&T, and
that yesterday.
RSG in there already. It does all the math for you. You put in your account balance, you put in the risk per trade, and approximate option delta if you're trading options. And it'll take this exact formula and it'll calculate how many shares that you can take. So 3,300 shares, 488, 145, or 1614. Right? All of these will get you approximately the same amount of risk. Now, it's not going to give you $5,000 of risk off the bat if you get out at half an ATR down. So this is where it's going to get a bit complicated. So for example, if I get into Tesla today, it's around 284 right now. And my stop loss is half of the ATR value. That means where I would get out is 276. So 1730 divided by 2 is 865. So I would give Tesla $8.65 of room to find out if it's going to work. If it does, then great, just go for it. If it doesn't, I've risked not the 5,000, but even less at 1250.
Mm-hmm.
So this is by design to maximize your gains because it's a big size. You're putting on 40% of your portfolio, yet risking 5%. And it even turns out to be less than that 5%. But let's say if you wanted to go a full ATR from here. So let's say you went down 284 minus this, that would get you closer to 5%. But the point is that you can take a giant position, yet risk a tiny bit because you don't want that position to go zero, right? It's not Lambos or food stamps. We're trying to maximize how much we can make in the meantime. So that's my formula. I hope that that was helpful. Viet had a question. Why is market trends showing blank and outlier? So if we go to outlier real quick, there are 3 different types of trends. There's green, which is an uptrend. That's your 10, 20, 50 outlier trend template pointing north. There's red, which is 10, 20, 50 pointing south. And then there's white, which is where it's in between. And that's where we're at today. That's why market trend is showing blank right here. Is that as of the close yesterday, the SPY was 10 over the 20, price under the 50. Now it's opened up above the 50 this morning. So that is a bullish trend right now, Ferdinand, a bullish trend right now. So we sidestepped this entire move down. And now for those who have been watching, now is the time where the trend is actually trending higher. Philip had a question. I learned a lesson yesterday. Trading days and minding kids don't mix. For sure. If you got to deal with them, you can't be focusing on anything. It sounds like you've had an issue like that before.
Oh my gosh, dude, you have no idea. So I'm at a game with my son and my wife, like, I don't know, it was when I lost like 3 weeks ago. And I'm all excited because I'm looking at and I'm showing my wife, you know, look at what we got. Look at what I just made on this trade. Like, check this out. Da, 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 da. And then for a split second, dude, like it just seemed like a split second. Like it didn't seem like it was that long. I go and I look at the game and I get caught up and watching the game. And before you know it, bro, 15,000 is gone. Gone.
Oh
Gone.
no.
Gone. Like gone. 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 Like it was there. I look at my phone again and it's dropped because I looked at, so yeah, I have to laugh at that when I saw that. I was like, oh my gosh, that just happened to me. Like it does not mix. You can't do it. Like you've really got to just be focused on the screen because yeah, that was a big loss day for me. I think I lost like 25 grand that day that I had seen come in. And then I was like, yeah, you don't mix. You just don't mix.
Well, Ferdinand, I have this saying that all stocks are bad, and every once in a while they act right. It wasn't acting right for you that day.
I wasn't acting right either because I'm sitting there watching the stupid game, thinking that I had the freedom to like let it go. No, learning
for sure. Sean says, so thankful that he found me an outlier, right? I don't have to trust my instincts, just have to trust the plan and execute the plan. And he finally got his mind right. That's really cool. JG says, is it a week before option expiration date that is the latest you want to sell? So that's a great question. So let me show what that means over here. So 1 week before earnings, I evaluate my trade. And actually, that's not what I'm looking at. 1 week before close, right? Expiration. That's sorry, I misread it. 1 week before expiration. So I asked myself, so if it expires next Friday, the Friday before, I say, am I already profitable in the trade? If I've given it time to work and it still hasn't been profitable, I'm not going to risk it for another week. I'm going to go ahead and close it because every option has an expiration date, Ferdinand. It's not like stock where it's open-ended, right? So the option can expire on May 2nd, and I need to make sure that I either have a position or don't well before that date. So is it profitable a week out? If not, I'm gonna close it out. Close it out now. Now, another question is, if it is profitable and I want to keep it on, can I roll it out so go from a May 2nd expiration to maybe May 16th expiration for a credit? Meaning I bought it for a debit. Let's say I bought it for $1 debit. If I can take in a credit of 10 cents, that keeps my trade alive and actually reduces my risk. Now my risk is only 90 cents in the trade because I took a credit to roll it out. Maybe, maybe not. If not, just close it now, right? And this talks about rolling it out for a credit actually takes partial profits, frees up capital, and keeps the trade alive. So for me, it's a week before expiration. If I don't already have profits, and if I can't roll it out for a credit, I don't need to keep it. It's just not working out. It's dead money. Nobody wants dead money. So Ferdinand, any final thoughts you want to leave our crew with today?
No, just be, it's all about, since we've been talking about, taking the risk, just, take risks the smart way and do your due diligence and learn from some of the stories that we've shared here to not lose anything and just kind of do your due diligence. And I think I saw something here, Chris, in one of the comments really quick. Hard to see the new order blocks. I think there's some updates that are being done behind the scenes. So I think those will be rolling out. So I think these will be updated for people soon.
Yeah, Mahesh told me that he's going to push like multiple small updates here in the next couple of weeks. So every day you might see something different in OVTLYR, and it's only to make sure that we're improving it as we go.
Yep. Yeah. It's constantly being worked on, guys. It won't be everything that you guys see, everybody knows about. So everybody's trying to get everything done and working like burning the midnight oil to make sure it's getting done. So
for sure,
you'll see some new things pop up. So I just want to make sure that question was answered. But other than that, I'm just very appreciative for everybody being here. It's really cool, really awesome to see how OVTLYR community is growing.
I know, isn't this really cool? We got 250 people watching us live right now at this very moment. That is so cool. Yeah,
I didn't even know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, guys. That's cool.
So Ferdinand, I really appreciate you coming today, and I appreciate. Oh, I'm sorry, couldn't hear you. What did you say?
It says great way to wake up on a Thursday.
I know, right? Especially out on the West Coast there. Ferdinand, I really appreciate you coming today. Really appreciate you taking the time, and I really appreciate everybody else watching live. Be sure you click one of these two videos to help you save time, make money, and start winning with less risk. And we'll see you tomorrow. No, this afternoon. We'll see you this afternoon. We'll talk soon.